All right. We are back. BCP podcast yet again. Matt Cooper with Flex Sports Media. Sorry about that. And then Derek Williams with Quick Cut. My guys, how we doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Another slate, another good week. High school football here in Central Florida. But we're going to start a little bit different this time. All right. We're going to jump off with our first segment and talk about who are the best undefeated teams, or who is your favorite or best undefeated team in the area. And I'm going to give the floor to Matt. Matt, you are up first. Let's load it up, my man.
Well, in Tampa, we got two undefeated teams. We have Tampa Tech and we have Riverview Sharks. They're both they're two different divisions, so we don't have to really compare them to each other. They're not going to really be any competition for each other. So when we start off with Tech, man, those boys, they look good this year. I mean, they're beating everybody by a lot, it seems like. When I'm looking at the highlights, they're really utilizing the whole team. Everybody's making big plays, wide receivers, running backs, the QBs. I mean, everybody looks like they're really making moves. With Tech, the talk of the town will be them versus Armwood. They also have to play Jesuit at the end of the season. So those will be their last two games. Way to end the year, man. Jesuit, that's going to be a big one for them. But I do think that Tech, if they can continue playing the way they're playing, I think they could beat Jesuit. And then they're going to go against Armwood. I don't really want to say yet, but that's going to be a good one, man. I guess I'm probably more like the Armwood guy since that's where I graduated. So it's going to be fun to kind of talk about it until we get to that Armwood Tech game. But as far as Riverview High School, I'm really proud of those guys to see them go undefeated. I know they were really hyped back in the spring. They had a little 7v7 team, so their skill guys are really working hard. They've had an incredible season. They were able to beat East Bay. They just knocked off Alonzo, which was a big win for them. They have a couple big games. They're gonna go. They have to beat Sumner, which is a district game this week. If Aaron can continue to run like I saw him in his highlights, he had a big run for a touchdown play. He can utilize Rico, and they can just run the ball. I really think that Riverview might have a chance to beat Sumner. Now, I haven't really got to talk to Greg Smith, so I'm not sure if he's going to be playing this week. But if he's playing, he's got to play. I think if he misses, then Riverview pretty much is going to have it. But if he plays, that's going to be a really, really big game. And I think it's going to go all the way down to the end, and it might just be maybe a field goal type of win for either team. It could go either way. And then they're going to have to go and play Durant, which we've seen Durant has been a very strong team this year as well. So it's fun to see these two groups, Tampa Tech and Riverview, both being undefeated and both going to continue to try to win out the season. I think they both will make it into playoffs, and we'll see how they do in the postseason.
Yeah, Tech is because they're about to go Wharton. They go to Wharton district game, host Jesuit. We know about Jesuit. And then we'll host Armwood for another district game. So this is going to be a fantastic finish for an currently undefeated Tech team. And we'll see how that pans out. But I think at the beginning of the season, I was like, man, the front side of the schedule is just it's light. And then the backside is so heavy. But then as you kind of push forward, you're like, okay, well, this kind of worked out to their advantage where things can kind of really get going, and then they figure out all those kinks and stuff. So that would be my take on Tech.
What I like about Tech is they just do everything just well. It's not like they excel specifically in one area over the other. They're just really good, I think, across the board. They've got a great secondary. They've got a kid that's really jumping out on film at corner. They can rush the passer with 4 guys and drop the rest in coverage. So passing or trying to sustain a drive against this team, I mean, you're going to have to you're going to have to chew up, 5 yards at a time and really move down the field. So, going 80 yards on Tech is just going to be a 10-yard drive type of situation. And you better be on your game. They've got a heck of a secondary. And I'm doing a deep dive right now into the running back. Like this kid a lot. Very, very explosive running back, but he blocks well. And so many running backs. I tell you right now, pull up any top running back list of any class in, whatever state. Put on game film, and you will be blown away with how many kids just do not block from that running back spot. This kid does, and I'm working on his film right now, and I like the way he blocks and pass protection from the running back spot. But he's a great running back, does some really good things on film, and obviously their wide receiver and passing game has it put together. So they're really a complete team. They do not have any real area of weakness, so I think that's where Tech's strength is right now. So they're going to be interesting to watch. And obviously, you talked about Riverview. We've been talking about them all year so far. Their running back, quarterback combination. This Rico kid reminds me a little bit of. He reminds me so much of Alfred Morris back in the day. Alfred Morris played at Pensacola.
Sounds familiar.
Yes.
Did you cut Alfred Morris before?
Yeah. Alfred Morris was a kid out of Pensacola Pine Forest way back in the day, and completely under the radar. This is way back before, YouTube, Huddle, and all that good stuff. Well, not before YouTube, but Huddle. So the kid was way under the radar, played up at Pine Forest High School in Pensacola. And I was super impressed with this kid and had no offers. And there was a coach at Pasco High School right across the street, and he called me up. He goes, "Hey, Derek, I'm on the hunt for a running back. You got any?" And I said, "Man, I got a kid at Pine Forest that's just having a great year." And he came in the house, and we watched film. And he goes, "Man, no one's on this kid?" I said, "Nope, no offers." He called his buddy or his other assistant coach, Joe Carozza, who was up in the Panhandle recruiting that same day. And he goes, "Joe, you got to get over to Pine Forest and look at this kid." Long story short, FAU ends up signing Alfred Morris, and he becomes their record-breaking running back. Kid goes to Washington Redskins and has about a 6-7 year career in the NFL. So it was a good story. And the only two offers Alfred had coming out of high school was FAU. And I think that was the only Division I. The other school that wanted to offer him was Ole Miss. And the Ole Miss area recruiter was in my house. And he goes, "Derek, man, I can't get my guys to go on this kid, but I love him." He goes, "Have you seen the kid?" I go, "Yeah, he's got legit size. That perfect running back type of height and weight." So me and the recruiter hopped in the car and drove over to Orlando. This kid was at a basketball tournament just to get an eye on this kid and just to get a height, weight, and verify that. And I remember the Ole Miss coach just hoping his guys would go on this kid. They never did. So FAU ends up with this running back to this day. But I swear this Rico Choates, is it? Reminds me a little bit of that kid. He doesn't look like he's running fast, but man, no one really catches him when he breaks loose. But anyway, Rico's having a great year. Riverview and Tech right now, the last two undefeateds. It's going to be we'll see how the year ends. Who does Riverview have? Do they got?
They're coming up. Riverview will have Sumner and
Durant.
Yes, they still have both of them.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a game. I mean, Coach got them playing tough over there, man. They really do. And then Tech, you said who does Tech have left?
Tech got a big one with Wharton coming up on Friday, and then Jesuit, and they'll finish the season with Armwood coming to them.
Man, that's 3 tough games, but it's let's say they've got an 80% chance to win a game. If you've got to do that 3 different times, what are you looking at? You're under a 50% chance to win out. Even if you're at 80% across 3 games, what is that? 48% to win all 3? I mean, the odds are stacked against them just because, those are 3 tough games, but they've probably got to be favorites heading into it. But to finish the year against those 3, going to be tough. We'll see what happens. No, it's exciting though.
Absolutely. And I'm going to roll in with Edgewater. And I'm just going to give you this with Edgewater. Okay? Beat Bishop Moore. Beat Clearwater Academy International. Beat West Orange. Beat Jones. Beat Apaka. Beat Wekiva. There you go. That's why I'm going with Edgewater as my number 1 undefeated team. Not only are they undefeated, their schedule says they beat big dogs. And if you're unfamiliar with that, area of the town of Orlando area, if you're unfamiliar with that, those names and those programs, those programs which I named are not play schools. All right, those are teams that are consistently good year in and year out, and one team took them down, and that's Edgewater. Week 7 winners. All right, so week 7 winners, we're going to go with either a team or a prospect that showed out that you think, hey, they won this week. Matt, tossing you.
Man, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Jesuit. They had a big win against Bishop Vero. And I want to give a shout out to a freshman. His name is Caden Henderson, class of 2027, man. And he came in this year just blazing. And we cut some film last week with him, Derek and I, and we were just watching him, and we really saw his confidence just gain over the last couple of games. And I got to catch a little bit of highlights against Bishop Vero, and this freshman kid, he's 6'2", about 200 pounds. He's offensive linebacker, and he just made a big play at the end of the game to clinch the win for Jesuit, man. And so I just want to give him a little shout out. I like these rising stars. These kids are coming in the game and just making a difference.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no doubt. Matt had mentioned this kid to me last week, and I'm like, all right, let me jump on it and take a look. And you could see that the neat thing about young kids, I mean, this kid's starting as a freshman at Tampa Jesuit. And his first game in action is against Orlando Jones. And when you're going up against Jones and those kids, I mean, Jones is one of the top programs in the country right now. And here you got this freshman out there. And so you see that, and then you see a little bit of attentiveness, and then all of a sudden it starts to make sense, and the game starts to slow down. And then all of a sudden over the last 2 weeks, it's really started to click with him, and he's doing some things with his size and frame and all that. He's going to grow into something nice. So I'm excited to watch him. I cut film this past week on, and we had kind of hit on him when Jesuits number 51 at right tackle had that great game against Armwood's defensive end edge guy coming off the edge. I put his full season film together, and I think this kid's just going to be a pretty big time player. Number 5, defensive end coming off the edge. We'll go ahead and take a look at him on film real quick. All right, so we're going to take a look right now at Roymar Thomas out of Armwood. And this is his season highlight so far. And I'm super impressed with this kid's size. Watch his first step off the ball right here, closes a gap on Wharton, puts him on his back, causes a fumble, picks it up and runs. This kid is one to watch, and I just think he's going to be one of the high-end talents in the area coming off the edge. So this is just, one of the many kids popping over there. But we'll take a look at his highlights real quick. Again, coming off the end.
I saw him in person in the spring, and he's a good-looking kid. 6'3", 225 right now, listed on Max Preps. And Armwood is never lacking for defensive linemen. All right, that is probably one of their calling cards. After running backs, I think if you think Armwood football, it always has a defensive line. And he's going along the lines of some of the best that have played at that position for the Hawks. Yeah, and it's no reason why, that is part of the reason why they're a one-loss team right now, because they play such good defense, and it starts up front.
They do. And this kid, his use of hands, his ability to get off the ball is so important. And you know how much they train those kids in the weight room over there. And really it does separate, traditionally, this is what has separated some of the big-time programs in Tampa, is the ability to have every single kid on their roster be training in the weight room. And if you lack when you're training in the weight room, you're not going to be a winner on the football field. You may beat other teams that maybe lack in the weight room, but when you go up against a team that consistently has a great workout program, like an Armwood, like Jesuit, like the TCs, these guys are just stacked and loaded, depth across the offensive defensive lines, and that's where they beat you at. And that's where Hillsborough teams have traditionally beat the Pinellas and the Pasco teams that maybe lack that depth and stuff like that. But this kid is really one of the up-and-coming talents of the area. So this is my prospect watch of this week, no doubt.
Yeah, he will lock you down, man. Roy, I got to see him play a lot over the last 2 years, actually, and cut up a lot of film. And if you notice some of these interceptions that Armwood's causing, it's him in the backfield just putting the pressure on the QB. And I mean, he will turn around and just run as fast as he can and catch the running back. That dude he plays with some heart, man. If you guys ever get to meet him, though, he like just like his like his anger to the game, I guess you could say, the way he plays. I haven't really seen a kid like that with that much hype at that age in a while at Armwood. So I've seen some good players, man, but he's good, man. He really is.
Yep, he really is. I mean, usually when you see a young kid firing off the edge like this, usually they're a little bit undersized, and you'll always get these mismatches with a 5'10", 5'11" edge guy in high school coming off the edge on some of the big time tackles, and they just use their speed around the edge. So usually when you're seeing a kid utilize that speed, it's not a 6'3", 230-pound defensive end coming off the edge. I like this kid a lot, and he'll be a multiple offer kid. I don't think he's got anything going on right now, but that should change. This film getting out and other things. This kid will be a multiple offer FBS kid.
So I'm up, and I'm going with the team, and I'm going to go to Polk County with Lakeland. So up until their win last week against Bartow, did you know that the Dreadnoughts had not had a home win this season? And Lakeland was always that team that got criticized for having a soft schedule. They would bring in quote-unquote weak teams and make sure they won a lot of games and dang sure make sure they won at home. But they changed that this year. They brought Miami Norland in. That was a fantastic game, a lot of scoring, a lot of firepower, 48-34 loss. Largo, then they beat Largo 28-0. And then they brought in St. Joseph's out of Philadelphia, 45-24 loss. So now with that, they're 1-2, a Lakeland team that's 1-2. But after that, they started rolling. Beat Kissimmee, beat Winter Haven, beat Lake Gibson, and beat an undefeated Bartow. So my winner for the week and currently trending upward is going to be the Lakeland Dreadnoughts for the resilience and the recovery, and they're still the kings of Polk County, in my opinion.
That's a hefty statement, and I like it. I mean, in like you said, allegedly had a soft schedule. I tell you, I'm just going back many years off the top of my head, I think they've stacked up against some great talent, even out of state. I mean, they've traveled. I think they've traveled to California and Texas, just off the top of my head. I know they played some Miami teams also on the regular season in the past. So that's an alleged thing. Now they may beat up on some of their. They're in county, and Polk County is one of the best counties in the state for football. But yeah, Lakeland's been like we just talked about with Armwood. You want to talk about a team that's been a well-oiled machine? It's been Lakeland. They train their kids. They've got depth across the both front lines. They've got the speed element. Every kid growing up locally in youth, the youth leagues over there, they want to go to Lakeland. They want to be a Dreadnought. They want to play in that stadium sitting right there that they drive by every day. So that's Lakeland's been a well-oiled machine, no doubt. But yeah, there was no doubt that they were going to get back on track, and so they'll finish the year out strong. But there's also a few other teams over there that are mighty damn good too. Is Lake Wales?
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot, Derek. Here we go. Your favorite Dreadnought ever?
Well, it's hard to mention one without the other because they were twins. The Pouncy kids, we're going to be a hard bunch. I obviously have a passion for linemen and cutting film on linemen. Watching those kids and breaking down, I'd go over there and they would give me their entire season's worth of films. And back before Huddle, I would put 25 kids' highlights together for Lakeland High School. Dan Talbot and Coach Castle over there, here's the film. And I go in there and plug in the hard drive when it got to the digital files and dump all the film out. But anyway, I've cut up Rainey. I've cut up just countless players in the past, the Antoine Murrays, the Ahmad Blacks, everything going back 24 years ago, cutting film on Lakeland. But I got to be honest with you, yeah, the Pouncy kids breaking down their film, playing, offensive tackle, a little bit of offensive guard. Sometimes those jokers would line up next to each other. Now, could you imagine being, a 5'10" defensive end, 190 pounds, or a linebacker, coming up and those two jokers get out? And then right behind them, Chris Rainey you can't even see him. Chris Rainey pops loose. So to me, cutting film on the Pouncies, and I got to be honest with you, last year they had a D end over there who was pretty damn special, and I haven't looked at a lot of their game film this year so far, but I'll look at it here when the time's right. But they had a D end over there who I thought was very special. But yeah, I've cut a lot of good kids. Ahmad Black was one of them. So Ahmad was one of them. Yep. Yep, and so they've had a number of kids I've cut film on over there, but yeah, the Pouncey twins. I can't pick just one, but could you imagine now having and Chris Rainey lived with them at the time? Could you imagine being a mom having to feed two Pouncey?
No way. No way.
Yep. So anyway,
all right, Matt, you're up. Yeah. You're on the spot.
Yes, sir.
The best Armwood Hawk ever. And I'm going to give you a hint.
Armwood Hawk.
There's only one answer.
The best Armwood Hawk ever. I would say Matt Jones, running back.
No way. I told you there's only one answer. There's only one answer to this question. That's Eric Stryker.
Eric Stryker.
That's Eric Stryker, baby.
You know, I unfortunately I didn't really get to watch him play, but I heard a lot about him. And I looked him up recently, and one of his noble moments is he had an interception against Mahomes. Okay. So he's actually training kids now in the Tampa Bay area. So I'm gonna I'm been meaning to look him up and see if I can find him. Maybe let my son go train with him a little bit.
All right, so we love Matt Jones. Matt, I love you. No, that's just for TV. Of course, Matt Jones would be the right answer. Eric Stryker is personally my favorite Hawk ever. He's probably outside of James Wilder Jr., probably the most disruptive high school player that I've seen in person ever. Eric Stryker was all over the place. Primary play outside backer in their scheme, came off the edge all the time, would drop in coverage. Stryker was their everything. And even when you knew where he was, you didn't know where he was. He was always making a play, man. So I'm a big Eric Stryker fan.
You went to Alabama, right? Alabama?
Oklahoma.
Yep. Oklahoma.
Okay. Absolutely. All-American Oklahoma.
Yep.
Had a little hit in the league.
Yep.
So when I think Armwood football, Eric Stryker is the first one that comes to mind.
I put his film together too. I'll send it over to you. Maybe we can run on the podcast. I tell you who he reminds me of a little bit is a kid at Wharton, right? The kid at Wharton, number 9. Got a little bit of that going on.
Booker
Pickett.
Yep. Got a little bit of that going on.
Was 19. Booker Pickett's 9. You may have something. Booker is very disruptive. He is speed first, but he's always around the ball. And I'll tell you what I do like about Booker. When you watch film, you can tell guys who like football. Like Booker, he plays like he likes football, and it radiates across his film. So I'm down with that one. That and Stryker played like he just couldn't live without ball.
Yep. Yeah, just seeing, and again, that's going back many years. I'd have to, I'll pull up his video and send it over. But yeah, I put together Eric's video.
All right, it is team shout out time, and I'm gonna jump right into it. We're gonna shout out the Plant Panthers for a number of reasons. So since Robert Weiner left as the head coach, and the history with Weiner, all the state championships they won under Robert Weiner, Plant went through kind of a shaky mode where they were more down than they were up. And that was just so unlike a Plant team that we had came to knowing, the Plant program. So now under Coach Brown, they are trending upwards. And last year, nobody really gave them a shot. We said that Plant might win the district last year. And guess what? They won the district. We said also this year, don't count them out. They might win the district this year. So Plant goes and they start off the season with losses to Tampa Tech, who's still undefeated, lost to Berkeley Prep, who's a top 16 team. And then they have gone out to win every game after that. So right now they are 5 straight wins and sitting at 5-2. They just beat Jefferson in a rivalry game. They'll go Plant City in a district game. They'll go Steinbrenner in a non-district. They'll finish with Alonzo at home for a district game. So the question to you both, can Plant win out? No, not can they. Will Plant win out?
Well, they started the season off a little slow, but I think it's kind of like Tech. They have their harder games towards the end, so every game they got a little better, and a little better, and a little better. And Plant they just are a classic team that can just really pull themselves together pretty nicely. And even when I saw them against Tech, they seem like a really solid group out there. So I think that's going to be a hard team to beat. I think they can win it out.
Well, I'm not great at, or I don't really jump into the prediction thing, but if I had to say, I would say the odds are better than 50%, maybe under 60%. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think the odds are better that they win out than than not winning out. I think they got a good chance, better than 50, but I don't think it's going to be an easy road by any means. I think their game coming up against Plant City is going to be just a tough test. They could lose that one, but yeah, I think they definitely got a good chance to win out.
So here's my alert to all the media folks out there: the Plant City game is the location to be. I'm just going to give you a heads up. It's at Plant City. Fantastic football environment at Plant City High School. So if you're a camera guy, media guy, whatever you're reporting on, you better be at the Plant City game. Now, with that said, I'm going to hedge my bet. They get past Plant City, they'll win out. Okay? Plant City is going to be a test for them. Plant City is not only going to try them athletically, Plant City is better coached than advertised. Plant City is going to be at home. Plant City has a quarterback with all the confidence in the world. Plant City has gotten over the humps, and I think they found their way. Now, with Plant, systematically, they are getting better each game. I think their schedule worked out in their benefit, playing at Tampa Tech early and then playing at Berkeley early. Styles make fights. And both those games, stylistically, if we will, are the exact opposite of what they are. So now they roll into a Plant City game that, in comparison, is, let's just say, would be more comparable to a Tampa Tech. Well, they faced that, right? And then they kind of went toe-to-toe for Tampa Tech, especially in that fourth quarter when it got kind of hairy. So now we're going to go with Berkeley Prep. Berkeley Prep, not as wide open as they would be like a Tampa Tech offensively and defensively, but they will compare to an Alonzo and a Steinbrenner, okay? So now I think it's going to work out in Plant's favor. I think those two games that they lost early in the season has prepared them for the last 3 games of the year. So a hedge of my bet, question mark around the Plant City game. If they get past Plant City, they'll be 3-0 to end the season.
Yeah, Preston, you talking about a nice sleeper, under the radar prospect for the class of 25. I feel right there at Tampa Tech, they got a cornerback, number 5. I'm telling you, man, you got to take a look at this kid. He is doing some big things this year in coverage. Long arm kid. He's listed at 6'1". His name's Rakeem Stroud, number 5 out of Tampa Tech. This kid really jumps off the radar, locks up in coverage, gets right up on you. He really times the play on the ball very well. He real good ball skills. But this kid also runs a 10-800 meter. Dude, that is flying for 6 feet. I like this kid a lot. With the college games and even the pros transitioning so much with a pass focus, guys are looking to come down here and get kids that can rush the pass and defend the pass. This kid right here can defend the pass, just very well in coverage, and he'll be a big time prospect, one of many in the area. This kid will be a 25, so he's a junior right now. And, this team's undefeated. I did this deep dive into Tech, getting to look at this, the running back and just kind of what makes them tick. And this kid right here is absolutely one of the big reasons why, like we talked about, this team is just complete in all aspects of the game. And in the secondary, and this kid just kind of locks it down. But yeah, here we go. We've got a 2025 cornerback, Rakeem Preston. The other kid I'd like to show you actually is a sleeper. He's not a 25, but he's a 2024 kid, and I don't think he has much going on. But I love this kid out of Palatka. He is a safety. He's got excellent range. I tell you what, this kid. We're gonna play his video right here. And Preston, I think you'll like this kid. He is very physical in run support. He plays safety, as you can see here. He's got great range, and I tell you, this kid could possibly play a few different positions, but just a great athlete out of Palatka. And so we'll take a second and watch his film here. And you'll see him get up here and run support. Right here, you'll see his range. Look at that, high points of all. Just a good player. Here he is on a punt return. Makes plays in all phases of the game. But just pay attention in a few on his run support. And I like the way this kid comes up, plays very physical for his size, and does not shy away from tackling at all. Just runs through his tackles. Yep. This kid's a Terry and Godfrey out of Palatka High School. Just one of the many sleepers across the state. I know you asked me about 2025, but I just wanted to highlight this kid. Just did a mid-season highlight on him just the other day. There's a nice play right at the goal line.
All right. It's that ranking time. Like we said last time, it's what gets the people going. So this week we're going to go with start two. You got to pick 2 or 3. Start 2, sit 1. And this is going to be hard. So we're going running backs. Here go the 3. We're going with Corey Sims at Mitchell. We're going Rye Gainey, Tampa Tech. We're going to Marion Triplet at Pinellas Park. You can only have 2 of 3. All right, Derek, you're up first. You pick your 2 and tell why, baby.
Well, I would lean first on the senior. I'd have to go Gainey first just because he's getting it done in Tampa. That obviously gives you a little bit of a boost right there. But I like his senior leadership. When you watch him on film, and again, I did a deep dive into him. Just pay attention to his pass protection. He just does some of the little things, and I think he's got a little bit more of a home run ability. But he's the senior, So I'm going to go with the senior, and I'm going to flip a coin on the other 2 because both of them are kind of body types are very similar. I'd be happy with either 2 of those kids. One's a junior, I believe. One's a sophomore. Am I right? So just going with that. Give me the junior. I'll take the kid out of Pinellas Park and be happy. And if I had to bring up the sophomore, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I'm going senior, junior, sophomore.
That ain't bad. All right, I get you. Matt, what you got?
Yeah, definitely, man. I want to start with my boy Rod Gainey. I'd put him up against a bunch of running backs that I've seen in the nation. No, so I put him first. And then based off Corey and Marion, they're both seem like they're having pretty good seasons. I'm gonna go with Corey Sims. He's having a little bit better season. He has over 1,200 yards. He is a little younger, so he's still got room to grow as well. So I'd put him as my second guy, and then we'll triplet as my third guy. But all 3 guys they're having incredible years. Hats off to all 3.
All right, so we're gonna all stay consistent. We're going Gainey first. I'm going to take Rod Gainey for a couple reasons. Rod's got home run ability. Rod has been consistent doing this at least over 4 years, okay? Rod has great feet anticipation. And then as we talk off camera, he blocks and pass pro. All right, so we're going to go Rod Gainey. And then number 2, I'm going to go Corey Sims at Mitchell. I like the complimentary back that he would be to Rod Gainey as he would move my chains. Rod would be my home run guy. And then I think Corey would move my chain. Everybody solid with their picks?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right, good deal. All right, well, the best part of Friday nights is sometimes not even the game. It's just the whole environment. So we're gonna go off track a little bit. What's your number one football location / environment? What school? Set us up first, Matt. You go first. Let's see what you got.
All right, I'll pick one, but before I say it, you know, all the stadiums in the Tampa Bay area have gotten a nice facelift in the last year or two. So they all got turf, they all got these new lights and big boards and stuff. And so they all have been pretty pleasant to go to. It's really fun. But I would say my number one would be Jesuits Field. The feeling that you get in that little field, man, you already feel like you're a pro. Just the whole setup. I mean, the feel, and when you see a Jesuit team win in their stadium and they go and do their chant, it's a good feeling, man. That's probably been my favorite stadium to go to.
I'm a little partial to Hillsborough High School alum. Okay. So I love my Terriers. Our whole cathedral look, if you will, around our stadium, sit right there on Central. It's an awesome look. It never gets old. It's just I'm a Terrier at heart. I love Tampa Bay Tech's announcer. All right. If you've never been to a Tech game and if you never enjoyed the comedy, we got to have him on the podcast. Tech's announcer will have you laughing every single game. He's silly. All right. So on Orient, I'll give Tech that. And then Tech always travels well, and then their home side at home is always packed. So love the environment at Tampa Bay Tech. But I'm going Deep Woods, Pasco County, and I'm going Zephyr Hills, especially when they play Pasco at Zephyr Hills. All right. It's surrounded by the woods. Like, the only lights you really see are the ones that are shining down on the field. You know, you got to kind of keep your head on the swivel when you leave the stadium because there's all kind of trees around there. All right. You got the smokers with the barbecue coming up. There's smoke everywhere, the barbecue. Everybody kind of knows everybody. It's a hometown feel, that little small community. And it's packed. It's packed everywhere. They bring the trucks up. The trucks are sitting pulled up on the back of the fence. Everybody's got the big dually trucks and the engines are going. Zephyr Hills and it's usually a really good game. So I'm going the Zephyr Hills environment at Zephyr Hills High School with the asterisks, especially when they play Pasco.
No, that's interesting. You're right. When you look, I've been to a Zephyr Hills game before. They're 5 minutes down the road, and obviously I live right across from Pasco. So that's a great answer. And when you go to the game and you could see it on game film too. And I've always seen this in the past when you're looking at Zephyr Hills film, the cars kind of like wrap around the track, and it just everybody's tailgating and stuff like that. It's really a neat, unique atmosphere that I don't think is in place in other areas in Pasco. When you walk in, you know, everybody kind of knows your name and stuff like that. So you got the that kind of feel to it. People are cooking out and all that. So that's a neat environment. I have kind of a unique perspective. It's funny. I'm decades into this. I've watched tens of thousands of game films on tape, but I've been to less than probably 30 high school football games in my life. It's crazy. I don't like going to it's just not my thing. I don't go, but I used to have to back in the early day. And in the Durant atmospheres that we talked about, going to those games back in the day was really special. Early on, I think Durant would have done it for me. But the unique thing is I've been to probably 500 high schools in the state. So I've been around. I've seen the big stadiums, and I'll throw you two on the total end of the spectrum. Traz-Pal in Miami, when they have some of their big time Miami games down there, you want to experience that one time. And they're little towns. And I'll give you just a quick example. I had to film for our company Quick Cut this year, one of the opening games. And I went up to Umatilla. Loved it. And I'd been to the school before, but I've never been to a Umatilla game. But it was the same type of Zephyr Hills. Matter of fact, they have the same team colors, orange and black. And you could have told me I was at Zephyr Hills High School, and I'd been like, oh yeah, where's the track at though? So it, I like the small town feels. I'd rather go to a small town game and see the moms, cooking, are selling the stuff at the concession stand, and the dads are cooking on the grill on the side. Niceville, go up to a Niceville game. You've got an amazing atmosphere up there in the Panhandle. But I prefer a small town feel any day of the week. So if I had to pick a game to go to, this Friday, I wouldn't drive into Tampa. I'm sorry. I'd probably drive north until like you said, I saw trees and no people. And I'm like, all right, where's my nearest high school at? And just pop in and watch a game. So I'm more partial to that small town atmosphere. But yeah,
Manatee's got a great atmosphere.
Yep.
Venice, even Sarasota Riverview, very good, awesome atmospheres. Plant High School, when they're winning right there on off of Del Mabry, Plant High School, fantastic environment, man. So those are just the ones. Oh, and then Bryant Stadium at Lakewood. You bring a big game in at Bryant Stadium at Lakewood, at Lakeland. Bryant Stadium on Florida and Lakeland. Big game environment. That Bryant Stadium intimidates most teams. That's why Lakeland wins a lot of games. Not really, because they're also a good team. However, there is a very intimidating environment. And teams who aren't used to playing in that type of environment, when you go to Bryant Stadium, you get a little shook before that doggone whistle. So that's a very good atmosphere to play in too. Those are kind of like my top 5, if you will.
Yeah, and it's not just the sights; it's the sounds and the smells.
It's everything.
Yes, it's not just what you're seeing; it's what you're smelling. What the cooking, and then you're hearing, and it's just everything.
Yes.
So I do think it's there are certain environments that will touch all of your senses if you allow it to, and that's where I think some of those stadiums provide that, and some don't. But, yep.
Mailbag time. We always finish off the show with the mailbag. We ask our social media followers to either give us a question or a bold statement, and we're going to address the best 2 or 3 on the podcast. All right. This one's a good one because of the timing. Sumner versus Riverview. Is it the biggest game this season? We've talked a lot about both teams, and deservingly so. Riverview's still undefeated. Sumner just lost their first game to Durant 2 weeks ago, and they are both district opponents, and it has to come to a head at some point in time. So, Matt, is Sumner versus Riverview the biggest game of the season? And that's even crazy. That's so crazy. Before you even answer that, we're talking about a 3rd year school.
Yep.
And then we're talking about a school who hasn't had much success in like 15 years. And now we're talking about one loss between the two of them and a district championship on the line. So
on the south end of the county too. On the south end of the county, it's crazy.
Absolutely. So you're up, Matt. Take it.
Yeah, the way the season's kind of rallied up, this is looking like one of the biggest. It's definitely the biggest game for Sumner. They're going to need to win that after losing to Durant. Riverview, and same thing. Yeah, I think this is going to be both their teams' biggest wins, and it's going to really prove who wins the district. They both are really incredible teams, and when you compare them, the QBs are both. We talked about Aaron. We've talked about Greg. They're both really great QBs. They're both seniors, so they're older, they're bigger, they're smarter. Then you jump down to the running backs, and you have Devin Spencer. We've talked to him a lot. You have Schultz. Man, it is going to, I would say that's probably the biggest game of the year for those guys.
All right, you're not allowed to mention a QB. Who's your X Factor player in the game?
The X Factor players has come down to the running backs. It's going to be I want to say Schultz is going to blow everybody's hats off and have a huge run to bring the win in for Riverview.
This could very much so be one of those games, Greg plays or not, that kind of goes down as people will kind of talk about it over the years, because the loser might not make the playoffs. Okay. because the way the schedules are set up, they might not make the playoffs. A game like this, you want all the stars to play. You want Aaron Turner to be on his game. You got to have Greg play. Greg's got to be on his game. You got to have Greg with all his weapons available. You got to have Riverview with Schultz on fire. You don't want any excuses, any kind of, hey, well, so-and-so didn't play this game. Oh, this happened this game. No. Everybody had their cards on the table. Winner takes all. And I think this is kind of where that goes. So this is one of those games. It doesn't matter the school names. You got talented teams. You've got a rising stars at Sumner. You got a Riverview team that early 2000s was winning 10, 11 games in a season. So now they're resurging. This is kind of has storylines to it. It's going to make up to be talking about for years to come after this.
And I would say on the Riverview, Riverview has some great cornerbacks, but you let Tyler get open and Malik Brown get open, and now you have the air game going on. And so if Sumner can play the ground and the air against Riverview, that's going to be a hard team to beat. So I'm going to try to go to that game, so I'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
That's a good one, man.
And make no doubt about it, the Sumner running back is absolutely legit. He is
Devin.
That kid is he is legit. Yep.
Now, do you think he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's at a new school, Derek? Do you think that plays a part of it?
Well, here's another unique thing. I'm not even sure. Does the kid have any? What year is he? You know what I'm saying? All I know is I look it out on film. I break down. Is he a senior?
He's a senior.
Senior, and
he's committed to North NC State. I want to say we looked him up. He committed to NC State.
So there you go. So here's a kid committed to NC State. You wouldn't even really kind of know anything about him. That kid's a big timer. I mean, that kid. I mean, I'm just saying
he could be the game changer as well.
I'm just watch him on film. I mean, watch him on game film. I'll put his stuff together like I did Greg's earlier on. I'll go back and I'll put his highlights together, and he's spectacular. He's just so well balanced. You talk about a home run hitter, that kid will score from 80 out. Him and Rico, that's going to be a heck of a running back battle. And if Greg plays, it's going to be a heck of a quarterback battle. So when you take quarterback and running back and just let's say those even out, now you got to start stacking. That Riverview's got some real nice offensive lineman play, but I'm telling you, Sumner's got the number 75 over there. To me, that kid's a major FBS player. I don't even know what he's got going on, number 75. But to me, that kid's one of the best kids in the county too, and he's a two-way player, plays D tackle and offensive lineman. That kid is one of the Bay's best offensive, defensive lineman type of players. So that's going to be a heck of a game. I can't wait.
Running back battle, Schultz versus Spencer. Probably one of the better ones until Rod plays Pringle at the end of the season. So we're going to figure out who's the top dog, at least in that district, with Sumner and Riverview when Schultz and Devin Spencer go head-to-head. All right, next mailbag. Derek, is CCC the most underrated team in the area?
I'll pass that one to you. I haven't watched much game film on them, so I don't want to offer an opinion. You go for it. You've seen them.
All right.
Tell me.
All right, so I'm going to take this angle on CCC. I'm gonna say they're not the most underrated. I'm probably going to go with they're the most underappreciated. I think that CCC doesn't necessarily get the credit they deserve because they just win games. There's nothing fancy about how they do it. They just get it done. Each year, whenever CCC has a down year, it's like a 6-win, 7-year win season. So they're above average if they have a down year. Traditionally, they're going to win 10, 11, 12, 13 games in a season. So every year, because I don't know what it is, they have great players, they have great coaching. Every other year they're winning double digits. Right now they're undefeated. They're 7-0, and nobody's really talking about them. But at the end of the day, you look at it, you're like, yo, how did CCC get a state championship? Well, they've been good all year. Nobody's really been talking about them like that. They go about they handle things in a very business-like manner, and they just get it done. So I'm just with I don't think they're underrated. They're 7-0. We have them as a top team in the area, but I think they're underappreciated because their style of play is not flashy. They just win ball games, and then they win big ball games. That's where I'm at on that one.
I'll tell you a quick CCC story. Way back in the day, I would say one of the top 3 linebackers that I've cut film on. Denzel Perriman was one of them. There's been quite a few, but Colin McCarthy back in the day at Clearwater Central Catholic played with Riley Cooper. Watching these two kids on the field together, I'm telling you right now, Riley Cooper and Colin McCarthy back in the day, probably the best linebacker to this day. Now, he went to Miami and had a great career with the Hurricanes, and then he got drafted with the Tennessee Titans and had a great rookie career for the Tennessee Titans. And had a concussion, and it set him aside, and then had a shoulder injury, I think. But Colin McCarthy, to this day, out of CCC, was one of the best linebackers I've ever put film together on, without a doubt. And Riley Cooper, man, forget it. What a fun player to watch, and amazing talent. Even had a great NFL career, too. But 2 kids out of CCC back in the day. Woo. No doubt.
Junior quarterback Jashawn Newton.
Yep.
If you know anything about CC, they keep the Newton kids coming in there. Either their brothers, their cousins, somebody with a Newton last name is going to always be a stud for CCC. So Newton was our player of the year last season. And this season, right now, 7 games played, he's completing 63% of his passes for 1,039 yards and 9 touchdown passes. But hold on. That's not all. He's got 66 carries, 624 rushing yards, and 8 rushing TDs. And this is every year. Like, they have somebody, they just have a stud like that they, you know, I don't know what it is. They just get it done. And I'm a Newton fan. I'm a Newton fan since like the first Newton I met, which is probably like 10 years ago. But the family just reproduce studs somehow off the family tree. So CCC, not the most underrated, but probably the most underappreciated. All right, Derek, last question. Since you didn't answer, you said you weren't going to answer it, but you answered anyways, or the Riley Cooper thing.
Yeah.
We're going into the best senior defensive lineman that you've seen this season.
Okay, well, I had a kid. Here's one. Sanford Seminole. They sent me over their game film every year. I break down their film. They have a kid there that's committed, I think, to Duke. This kid is a big timer. He's a Florida State, Miami type. And there's a bunch of kids like that out there, quite honestly, that are going to here or there. The kid over at Pinellas Park, their defensive lineman, I think those kids are big 3 type of kids. And I think this Desmond Watson kid is just that. He's complete. He can play against the run, but he gets after the passer as well. We'll take a look at film on him, but he's out of Sanford Seminole. And if we're talking about a senior defensive tackle, I like this kid a great deal. So we're going to take a look at his film right now. All right, we'll go ahead and take a look at him. And again, focus on his ability against the pass and the run. So here we go. Sanford Seminole, defensive lineman Preston Watson. Big body kid, great first step with hands.
Yep.
Heavy. Had a big game against a pop guy. I think he had 2 sacks. Here he is with a pick right there against Vero, playing against big competition, big time comp.
Yep. Oh.
Yep. The big nasty. Here he is again. Now this is against last week's big timer young kid that we featured, and that play right there was just impressive. Here he is against Treasure Coast. You know what Treasure Coast can do.
Absolutely. Now, he seems like he can maybe be a 0 all the way to a 3 tech.
Yep.
Just, do you think he's quick enough? Do you think he's, quick enough to shoot gaps and strong enough to take up 2 gaps?
Yeah, I do. I think he can. So, again, I don't know how heavy he is. But yeah, I think this kid, once he gets into a college program, I'm sure he's lifting and getting it done in the weight room already. But just, I expect this kid over the next 2-3 years to be a great player at Duke, and just be a kid that oftentimes, and you can do it every single year. How did this kid get to insert school? And how did Florida State, Miami not get this kid? How did USF not get this kid? You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
I think this could be one of those types of kids right here that we wonder, how did this kid get outside? But yeah, Duke's got a heck of a player out of Sanford Seminole in the Central Florida area. So, yep, this is Preston Watson.
We have another great week of Friday Night Lights coming up. Remember, tune into this podcast. Watch the previous ones we've done before. Any ideas or suggestions, drop them to us. We are open. Flex, take us out.
Man, if you guys are balling and you're seeing other ballers, man, make sure you guys send their film over to Derek. He'll cut it up, Preston, and myself will be able to talk about you guys and give you guys some shout outs. Our number one goal really is to get the attention to these young guys, man. There's some really good ballers out here in the Tampa Bay area. And so we're going to continue with the podcast week after week. So make sure you guys send your favorite players into us so we can give them a shout out.